Hi, my name is Josie Clay. Uh, I am, well, transbian. So I'm a trans woman attracted to women. Uh, my gender identity obviously is trans. I'm white and I am 72. Oh, where did I learn about sex? Well, having been born in the 1950s and been in junior school in the 60s and 70s, or 50s and 60s, and senior school, sex education didn't exist. The first really information I got was when I was probably 13, and my father gave me a book. We didn't have a conversation, we didn't talk about anything, but it was an informative book. I'm afraid I don't remember its name, but it did explain growing up. I think it was called something like "Now You're Growing Up" or "Now You're a Man" or something like that. And it just talked about. I don't think it mentioned masturbation. I think it was about attraction and the function of sexuality. So that was my information, and of course the school playground couldn't really be depended upon, to be quite honest. Um, in that era, is there anything I found what was it? Unhelpful or confusing? Well, of course, um, I already knew who I was in terms of my transness. Not that I could really express it openly. So I didn't understand the difference between sexuality and gender. So I was really confused when I started to fancy girls. Yet I knew I should have been a girl. I was a girl on the inside. Um, and that was really for quite a number of years a confusion. Unanswered questions about sex. I don't think I was that inquisitive at that age. As I was growing up and into my teens and having my first experiences with a girlfriend, um, I don't actually recall having questions other than finding out by doing. Um, I knew what the methodology was, and then in my teens, um, I had sex for the first time with a girlfriend who actually became my first wife. Story there, and so no, I didn't have questions then because I was very naive, very. How did I feel when I couldn't get the answers? Well, as I say, I was too naive to have the questions. And it's only in my later years when I started to understand other aspects of relationships and sex, particularly um, when when the internet came in, and I found out that I wasn't alone, as in those days known as a cross dresser. But it was impossible to look up those things without falling into fetish sites because they proliferated much more than just information sites about being a cross dresser and that. So that was that's when I learnt that sex could be much more than, if you like, the old ministry. um, uh, what am I trying to say? Come on, brain, to mouth over missionary position. you know. Yeah. So yeah, my naivety sort of left me as I got into when I was in my adulthood. To be quite honest, because all I ever well, I was faithful in my marriages, never went outside, and our sex life was enjoyable but standard. Vanilla, I believe, is the word. I didn't know there were other flavors available. How do you feel about unanswered questions impact the wider LGBTQIA community? Well, they say knowledge is power, and understanding oneself um, is powerful. Knowing where to get the information in and understanding oneself. Of course, now the internet makes that far more accessible. Um, Unanswered questions about sex uh, and its impact on LGBTQIA community. I just think I'll rest in that phrase that the more you know, the more you are able to choose a path or experiment. You might want to experiment and then go, yeah, that's for me, or don't want to go there again. Um, so I think self awareness is a vital part of whoever you are, and perhaps the our community um, even more so, knowing who am I. Um, I think also escaping the religious upbringing that everything outside of normal sex is not just a sin but an abomination. And if you've grown up with that, it becomes part of how you think, and it can take some time to escape that socialization that's taken place. Um, ah, if you felt unsure about sex, had in relationships. Hmm. Okay, well, I'm going to come a bit more up to date. So, having been out for some years and full time, and I don't mind saying post op, um, I know where my place is, and that's with women. However, I think this is the right word. I was frightened that I might be perceived as a predator because that's how trans women are painted. So I actually lied to myself first, and then I lied to others because I used to claim that I was asexual. Because in my mind, that would mean that women wouldn't feel unsafe around me because what I'm saying is I'm not interested in anybody. So I'm not interested in you, so I'm not a predator, so you're safe. Um, However, it's just in the last year, 18 months, but probably in the last year, I I had an awakening, if if you like, that why am I, in this part of my life, why am I not being honest? I'm in an LGBT choir called Pink Singers. There are probably 40 lesbian women in the choir. And it was within that kind of environment and a song that we were singing that suddenly hit me. Oh, I'm going now. Um, I want to dance with somebody. I want somebody to love me. Somebody and I was singing that song, and I thought, God, yes, that's my truth. Why don't I be honest with myself and be honest with those around me? So I'm open now about the fact. Yes, I'm attracted to women. Never been attracted to men. Just how it is. You know, as I say, I didn't want my own penis. I certainly didn't want anybody else's. Ooh, ugly things. So what am I answering? Oh, my well-being. Yeah, well, it's not good for your mental health, is it, if you're hiding from yourself and you're hiding from others? I didn't need to hide because it's changed nothing in my relationships with the women that I know and the lesbians that I'm surrounded by in choir, um, and that are friends. Hasn't made one iota of difference. Silly me. Um, what would I tell my younger self? Oh, I'd say there's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone. You're not the only one. I grew up for many years believing there was something seriously wrong with me. How could I want to be or believe that I was a girl and that God had got it wrong, if you like, desperate to live my life as female? But and then as I grew up and in my teens, I saw headlines in the News of the World and the People and newspapers like that. And the only time that, as they called them then, transsexuals were mentioned, it would be to expose us, to make us be ridiculous, an easy joke in comedy, and that there was something seriously wrong with people like me. And of course, being in a church as well, being told that I'm an abomination. So for my younger self, I would say, you are not alone. There is nothing wrong with you. Um, Seek understanding and knowledge, and then be who you want to be. I left it very late. That's how it is. One piece of advice to a younger LGBTQIA person, what would it be? It's okay to feel frightened at the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Um, it's okay to feel unsure because you can work it out. Access books and people that you can trust. Look them up. Find out about them. Is this somebody who I believe I can respect? And then read their story, read their thoughts and advice. And of course, the thing about advice is you don't have to take it, but open yourself up to understanding yourself. And I mean, this is rather personal. This could be just be me. I perhaps would like them to understand that they may be on a growth path. That as they grow up, things might change. Um, well, things will change, and how they change obviously will be down to the choices that they make. So yes, seek advice from places where you feel that you can trust it. Consider the advice and make your decisions from that. And there's nothing wrong with you. You're not alone. So there we are. Done. I only found this email at 4 o'clock this morning. So um, thank you for asking me the questions, and there's your answers.